Howdy doody everybody, my name's Rocky and today we are coming at you with a White Star Void Corp vs UFC.
Nope.
So I want to take the time just to start off by reviewing the map, then we'll review the loadouts, and then we will move into actually reviewing the battle. I won't take up too much time talking about the pre-planning, of course. So what you see here on the map, what you see here on the screen is the map of the White Star that was generated. We had a very good generation when it came to Hydro at least, and even planet placement wasn't that bad. So the reason I've got it open in Photoshop is I want to just quickly draw on this, and this was like a sort of a quick thing. So the first thing, let me just change the color here. So the first thing we're talking about is we have a level 5 planet. Oh, look at that perfect circle. We have 2 level 5 planets and a level 10 up north. Same thing, level 5, level 10 hidden behind this Serb. We have UFP's gate here, and we have Void Corp's gate here. And so, I mean, technically level 10 is where you want to go. So a level 10 that's closest to us would be here. And what's closest to them would be here. So let me back up here. So the plan of attack essentially should be you want to grab this Hydro, move along this field, and dump. That looks...
Okay, let's just keep using the same old dirty brush.
Anyway, here, same thing here. So we're going to see how each team basically conquered this strategy, because that's what you want to do. There is no going to the 5 first, going to the 10 first, then coming back to the 5, because the 5s are effectively too far away. So anyways, this is the battlefield. This is what we got here. So I'm going to move on to the technological comparison chart that I took forever to put together. So this is the chart here, and what we can see here is we have battleships on the left, support on the right. I'm going to lay this out better. I was really excited to put this together and show you guys what I'd done, but now that I'm starting to use it, not only is it time consuming for me to edit this PNG file, but it's really hard to compare because we're going to have to just verbally talk about the comparison. Whereas if I sort of broke it down to who's got dual laser, who's got battery, what level each of those are, and do a comparison that way. I'm going to think of a better way to do this. But for now, this is essentially what you're seeing. Now, we had initially thought when we started off the battle that we were out-teching them. Now, I don't know if that was so much the case. It was more, I think, that we didn't really care. I don't know what is stuck in my... You're going to notice that we don't carry a lot of Sanctuary. They had Sanctuary on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of their 10 ships had Sanctuary. Of ours, we had 1, 2, 3 ships that had Sanctuary. And that can be a real detriment. That extra slot, I get why people carry Sanctuary because it is so expensive to replace your ships. But if you're in White Star full force balls deep, you're basically either going to lose and make enough money to replace that ship you lost, or you're going to get enough money back to... well, I guess that's not the case when your ship costs over 100k. Anyway, at this point, more and more of our teammates are using less Sanctuary. So looking at theirs, we did have one more level Battle 4 ship compared to theirs, but we were carrying a level 2 battleship with us. I don't know how much of a factor that takes in. And the battery levels were pretty consistent on their side. Bat level 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. We had a 7 and a 9, followed by 6 and 7. So, you know what? Maybe we did out-tech them. Yeah, okay, anyway. Moving on to support. I couldn't see 2 of their ships because I knew they were there because I saw their rockets coming from the gate, but I couldn't review what they were. So, there are question marks on their screen. But you're going to notice that their cargo space is level 6 on their 2 transports that they used to bring in relics. And they had 6 miners, which had... One had... I just made a typo. Bat X is actually cargo expansion level 2. My apologies in the top right corner here. It's not Bat X, it's cargo expansion. But anyways, we got a Crunch, Genesis... and Enrich. So we had 2 crunches. Now it would have been a little more effective to maybe carry 1 or 2 more crunches if they could have swung that. Instead of focusing on the rockets, I think they should have focused on their miner and cargo space. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little more in the next bit. Ours, we did carry Genesis. Now Genesis, we had a lot of Hydro. Going back to look at the Hydro... Oh boy, we're gonna have to look at this from a fresh. it would be more effective for me to open the game up, but just quickly taking a glance at this, if we were to assume that those are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, I mean, just 200. I mean, you're looking at like 1,500 to 2,000. I think almost in the corporation set there was like 2,500 or 3,000 Hydra between this sector. So Genesis, I think, you know, was kind of one of those things that we probably could have left out, but what else are you going to replace it with? You might as well bring it. I'm talking myself into bringing Genesis when we've already brought it and been done with it. So Genesis, crunch, 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 and crunch. So we brought a lot more crunch than they did. Again, we might have out-teched them. Anyway, that's the comparison. We're going to move on to reviewing the battlefield and moving the battle itself. Alright, so in regular old fashion, we are going to give an overview of the entire battle itself, unfolded by 20 times. And once we're done that, we'll effectively look at each side, talk about deployment, attack, what people did well, what people could have done better, etc., etc. This overview allows us to sort of pick apart the I guess deployment. It allows us to see everything unfold and how everything collapsed, etc., etc. You're gonna notice a lot of rockets flying around from UFP's side, which wasn't overly effective, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Then we've got a couple rockets coming in during one of the pinnacle points of this battle. So you're gonna notice the relics adding up there for our side. We ended up winning this match 9-1, and yeah, not much more to say about that right now. So here we go. We're coming up on the end of the match here. Not much left on the field. We did have a miner without sanctuary left on the field, though. That would be Gannon's. So I think the first thing we're going to do is start off by critiquing UFP's deployment and talking about where they went, what they did, etc., etc. So the first thing you're going to notice is we have a lot of ships coming in pretty early, and they did come in pretty staggered, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't all the squishies. Yeah. So one of the things we talked about when we reviewed the battlefield or the map itself and the generation, there was a lot of hydro, and a lot of hydro close to the gates, which is not, I don't think we've seen that in quite a few matches. So I think it was important that once you saw this generation, I mean, they had a guy come in right out of the gate to talk about how you're going to effectively mine that hydro and get it over to your 10 or your 5 if that's the route you're going. So we're going to speed this up a bit, and you don't see a whole lot of coordination when it comes to that. You're going to notice here that when we initially fan out, or when UFP initially fans out here, they're sending in 5 battleships to clear 2 Serbs, and they're sending what appeared to be assassins to come up in this sector and I guess effectively attack us. Now, they're going to pause here in this sector, you're going to notice, because I'm not sure if they knew we were coming down for this 10 or going up for the 10. But I think if you were to sort of analyze this map yourself, which you're going to do obviously, it would make sense for us to go to this 10 and for them to go to this 10. So I don't think there was much debate on this. But again, what we see here is we have 4 ships in this sector right here, not a whole lot of fan, and we've got too many ships in this one sector. So right here, again, another strange move. We've got two battleships coming down to occupy 2 basic Serbs. I mean, the rocket on top of the battleship is an effective way to clear out this interceptor, this Guardian rather, but you know, you could have done that with one battleship, and this battleship could have focused on something else. So questionable deployment of the battleships, and right here we do have some miners starting. So one thing that I was kind of questioning was, okay, you've got 4 assassins going north. That makes sense. You're thinking we're gonna go for our 10. That's great, good move. But then crickets. They fall asleep. It seems. I thought this was kind of strange. So not a whole much of a defensive line here, and I think they noticed us coming down here. So right here you're going to notice the assassins. We'll focus here for a minute. You're going to notice the assassins focus north, but of these 5 ships that we're staring at right here, only 3 of them were assassins, and they're not moving right away. By the time that they got 1 sector away from their hull, we already had a ship that was 4 sectors away from our hull and already on a planet. So Again, I don't know if they were waiting for something or what happened here, but you should always be moving out of the gate. When the match starts, you should have your waypoints set and your timers or your alarm set up to remind yourself, hey, I've got to move in X amount of hours, assuming that you're hardcore about White Star like I am or other people are. So anyways, I don't mean to boast by any means. It's not a good thing to be this obsessed with White Star. Let me tell you how much sleep I've lost. Anyways, so we've got 3 assassins heading up here, and we've got this line kind of open. I mean, the assassins are kind of there, but the amount of range we had on them, all it would have taken was us to shift 2 people with rockets over here, and you've got a wide open to the hole, and you're not doing a whole much guarding. What tongue twister. Anyway, again, focusing still on the assassins. We've got, I think, 1 teleport guy coming in here, and some mass battery, etc., etc. We've got obviously barrier on our planet. We always carry barrier to the planet, and this was kind of strange. Let me back this up for a minute. So we've got 3 assassins coming in, 1 with teleport, we know that, and we've got 2 that I don't know, EMP or something like that. But they effectively don't get the teleport in range in time to get us disrupted because, again, they took a nap for some reason. And by the time the teleport gets in range, we get a barrier on the planet. We always carry barrier. There's no reason not to carry barrier. But I guess the mistake here was that this battleship must have set a waypoint and didn't wake up for it. So he's going to run into that barrier and get caught up in our barrier, and I'm just going to track him down. I'm going to sit myself on this. I don't have to get too far in range, and he's going to move in here. So the teleport is still back here waiting to come in, but we rally our barriers in such a way where you can't get into there with teleport. So I think he effectively notices this, and then you're going to notice him shift his teleport to there because we had a miner coming in. So the most logical move for myself here is you're going to notice me shift down. We're going to pop an EMP, which is effectively going to disable him before he jumps, and he's going to get jumped. He's going to jump and he's going to be disabled, and we've got a battleship coming in. So we're not talking about my side though. So first mistake, waypoint set, he's stuck in barrier. Another mistake goes to teleport with a battleship that's super close to him with EMP. So he's going to get EMP'd as he jumps and get chewed out alive. And then we have another battleship here that's stuck in limbo. So the first assassin's dead. We've got rockets coming in from the gate. Talk about the rockets for a minute. They're not... rockets that far out in range aren't going to be that effective. You want to use rockets in a way where you're zoning your perimeter that for assassins coming up on you. Shooting them off in the distance like that with like 12, 14 hours or whatever it is. What is this? No, I guess it wouldn't be that much time. We'll take a look at it in a second. But that's not going to do anything. You've got enough preparation for that to really not matter. So I've just rewound it. It is like 8 hours from the gate, and it doesn't appear that these are stacked rockets. They appear to be singular rockets. So again, I'm not sure the purpose of this, just pot shots for some reason. Anyways, we're back to this point where this guy's going to get chewed up, and these people are going to get chewed up. So one thing I didn't talk about here is we had a battleship shifting down here because, I guess, of the teleport. I don't remember. And this gentleman here decides to pop EMP, but he popped EMP and he wasn't ENMP, I said. He wasn't in range to capture me. So I don't know if that was the plan or if he was just trying to get our ship here, but his EMP wasn't effective enough. So if I had to think about this though, with the way that his waypoint was set without being checked, he probably had that EMP set in his time machine so that when he got to the planet, he EMP'd everything on the planet. That's just an assumption though. I can't say that for sure. So anyways, this assassin gets chewed up by a level 9 bat that we had sitting up here. Battery, bat. And then this assassin down here is still being disabled from my EMP. The rockets coming in, they do become stacked because they're pretty much getting stopped by the barrier. Again, irrelevant really. And I'm just going to go ahead and take care of this battleship here. So speeding it up, you're going to notice he doesn't move. So again, we've got some sleepers here. They're not really doing much. He's sitting. Once again, I rewound this because what I noticed was he was sitting, didn't bother moving to get out of the way or do anything effectively. But he pops an EMP right here. which I must not have noticed in game, or I probably did. But he didn't wait for the battleship to get in way. So if he would have waited for Mass to get in his bubble, his EMP bubble, this would have mattered. But because he didn't, the level 9 battery chewed him up from Mass, and the rocket was irrelevant to me because Mass was there to protect me. So again, not effectively coordinating his EMPs or his time machine, whatever it may be. So now we're gonna rewind it again, and we're gonna focus on what's happening down south. We have to talk about this for a second. I don't know what's going on here. Why we have 3 battleships coming down to an empty sector of Serb when there's effectively 2 here. So you're not clearing anything out. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. So anyway, we're going to notice they come down here, 3 ships down here. They do send 1 guy in to clear out this service, which is the effective way to do it. And they've got a rocket backing them up. Again, the effective way to do it. But why we shifted south, I have no clue. No clue. I say we as if it's my team, but it's not. So then they're shifting across to level 10, which is correct. But we've got a hole here. We've got a hole. So they're going to clear that out. Again, we're clearing Serb kind of late, right? There's some service being cleared out kind of late here in this sector. And yeah, we've got rockets flying around nonsensically, really. And they finally get to the level 10 with 2 battleships to take care of 1 Guardian. And we do see a bit of a defensive play here at this point, but they're not defending a whole lot. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 miners and 2 transports. I guess the rest were on rocket duty. I don't know. But anyways, here we have a gap. We have a gap, which is kind of dangerous. So rewinding here, you're going to see this maelstrom of rockets coming in towards our assassins that are coming in, which again, super ineffective because we are 3 sectors out. It did force one of our assassins to use impulse, but again, a little too far away for this. Maybe another sector back would have been more effective. So we've got 2 battleships sitting up here in a random transport, which need to make their way down. So this was a big jump for us, but kind of limited as to where he was going to sneak to get some squishy kills, because down here completely blocked. So he's going to come up here and it's going to force them to come down. Now, why they brought 2 ships down to intercept him, I don't know. You don't need 2 to intercept him because you're going to notice he had teleport. And effectively we had another one flanking north. So I think it would have been better positioning for them to move 1 ship down, keep 1 ship there, or move them down to here, but both to the same asteroid is kind of ineffective, or even back it up to this gap that's here, or collapse this battleship that I'm pointing to the screen as if you can see it. Or move this battleship down to this asteroid. Not really a defensively strong thing that's happening here. The rocket coming in is smart, but the teleport, you forgot about the teleport. So once we set our teleport, they have a battleship that's ready to intercept us, and they're going to shift 1 down here, toss a couple rockets at us, and they're going to be forced to split up, send 1 guy north to deal with N64. So we still have these 2 guys down here killing this Guardian. And we're going to notice a couple of the transports coming in, not followed up by much of the miners, which is really late, again, late in the game. We are 3 days left in this, and we don't even have a miner that's a sector away from the hole, or 2 sectors rather. So anyways, he gets forced to be tied up here. Now, they do make a smart move here with the EMP to get a rocket in there. You're really limiting it because you've got 2 guys chasing him. You had to EMP 2 ships. So I kind of understand, because the dual laser, that's the way you protect your miner. But if you would have coordinated correctly, you could have only EMP'd 1 of your own ships, got that rocket in, and another battleship in to kill him. So again, coordination not quite there for these guys. So we've got an impulse, forced to use impulse here to get ourselves out of this rocket mess. And he's coming back here. So these 2 guys are going to finish off our assassin, while their squishies are safely heading off to the planet with a little bit of time warp to bump them along. Alright, so at this point in the match, we had a couple battleships coming down to sort of force them into, I don't know, force them into battle, if you will. And I thought they had this level 4 battleship heading to this planet to guard it, but what I didn't notice was that they had the massed battery on this battleship, and it was waypointed up. I guess it was trying to get behind our line here because we had a couple squishies coming back with relics already. So he beelines it, tries to get up there. They're starting to collapse on their planet because they want to get this hydro unloaded, and they're making a shift. So he sets it past us. We've got a battleship in a defensive position to intercept him regardless of the time warp and meet him here. So we've got a couple rockets lined up, 4 rockets. So 4 rockets coming in to a mass battery. Not a whole lot you can do about those stacked rockets, and they're timed just as he gets to the planet, and you're gonna notice it does a lot of freaking damage. So at this point he's sitting here. Our guy fell asleep. He fell asleep. We get, I don't know what happened here. But again, waiting. And he takes off, and our guy was actually AFK. So he actually gets away with enough health to cause a problem. But again, you're running at the gate. You never run at the gate. People will never learn to not run at the gate. So we hop in a transport with barrier, stopping his tracks long enough for this guy to wake up from his slumber and take care of him. Don't run the gate. It never works out. Even an asteroid around the gate, it never works out. Trust me, it never works. That I've seen. Unless you're facing a team that's asleep all the time, there's no reason why somebody can't just hop something in barrier or EMP or do whatever. You're dead. The second you walk into the sector with the gate, you're likely dead. We're moving into this level 10 planet. We've taken care of this assassin, level 4 assassin coming up. Everyone is collapsing to the level 10. All hands on deck. Let's get some relics loaded. Oh wait, Void Corp has noticed that you are a little late to the party, and we're going to cause some headaches. So we've got an assassin with stealth coming down here. These guys aren't going to be able to effectively do any damage. This is kind of dangerous, very dangerous. Then we have a couple more battleships collapsing. You're going to notice we're collapsing like a cup. You know, 1 battleship per sector. That's how you collapse, or that's how you even defend for the most part. So he's going to end up getting squished here, I believe, because they've got a barrier, but they barrier too late. Unfortunately, that teleport is set by our battleship and basically renders this load. Yeah. So here we go. We're going to watch this unfold. There's not much to talk about. We do snag that miner from the stealth assassin. That's a win for him. He's going to die in peace. And teleport is still effective if you pop barrier after the fact. You got to pop it before. You got to check those ranges. So we're inside the perimeter. We're killing some squishies. And you're going to notice we've got some rockets coming in, which are ineffective against the barrier, but that barrier is only a 4-hour window. 4-hour barrier. They EMP everyone within the effective zone, or we did, I forget. And this is looking to be a real cluster with all these rockets coming in here. So we've got a standoff here, 4 battleships to 3. We're going to effectively see 1 rocket hit here, not get a single point of damage done to it. Ouch, that's got to hurt. They get, we get another EMP, or they get an EMP. Now watch the Corp for Destiny. We have a miner sneaking up here from up north from Account Void, and it's got Destiny on it. So with everything EMP'd, they're getting some rockets, which is kind of nice, I guess. Kind of irrelevant to the incoming Destiny, though. This guy's trying to come in here and join the battle, but he is way too late for the party. And we're gonna see this Destiny go off without a hitch. So here comes some more rockets. Everyone's just launching rockets at this point. And come on, rocket hit Destiny. Right here it's 3v2, but we've got more rockets coming in than they do. Dead, and more dead. So Account Void with that Destiny just absolutely killed me. It was like the perfect opportunity. Everything's EMP'd. We got a miner with Destiny. Anyways, and Void Corp wins that battle. So they ended up getting a relic off, which is good for them. They left 4 stranded at the planet. We got a miner coming in with hydro for some reason, 0.5 hydro rather. And little late for the party on this one. So I think that's all I'm going to say about this. They end up getting this. They successfully escort this single relic back to the gate. Actually, what I do want to talk about here, up north, after we killed all the assassins, we had plenty of time to get these relics loaded up into Relic Boner. And they brought in another battleship, I guess, to contest. So this guy was coming up after having a quick nap, and I was able to intercept him. They tried to rocket me while having me tied up in combat. That plan didn't work out because I was fully aware of what was happening. And this is interesting because we're talking about setting things and not checking them. We're going to notice I come up, I meet him, but then I move because I saw the rocket incoming. And then we're going to notice right about here-ish, EMP. I don't know. So the EMP with the rocket would have been super effective if I wouldn't have moved. But anyway, I guess I dodged a bullet is what I want to talk about. Anyways, we have an assassin back in the game here, and he's heading straight for our gate, which I was able to see. And he is able to teleport away from me, which is fine and dandy. Good for you. But what happens next is what doesn't make sense. This waypoint, by the way, that is disgusting. Don't do that in White Star. Don't set a waypoint that's over 15 hours away. Oh my goodness. So anyways, teleport, but then runs for the miners. I didn't chase him. I saw this happen, and I didn't chase him because we had a relic coming up from here, and it needed to be guarded. Even though we had a ton of battleships guarding it. At this point, I think they were just overly hungry to get some squishy kills, and that's fine. I understand. But these miners had Sanctuary, and it was pointless because they were just trying to get home. Anyways, that's going to do it for my criticism of the UFP side. I do apologize if I sound super mean about it. I'm not trying to come across mean, and I understand that people are still new to the White Star. But just take what I'm saying, strip the emotion away, just take what I'm saying for what it is. Make sure that you're not setting waypoints that you're not checking up on, because that's so critical when you're playing the White Stars. Make sure your rockets are within a certain perimeter. You've probably saw I would imagine the reason UFP did that whole rocket spam is because they probably came up across someone such as MyCorp that was really coordinated with the rocket attacks. But the one thing you're going to notice about them, people that are coordinated with the rocket attacks, is that it's all within a certain vicinity close to the gate to sort of zone away the assassins. So you got to keep that in mind. Don't be shooting them 8 hours away. That it doesn't help a lot. And if you're going to be doing it, stack your rockets. Setting single rockets to targets, it doesn't help. Remember what I said in the last video where you jump in, wait 2 hours, fire a rocket, hop out, hop back in, fire a rocket again to that same destination. You got 2 rockets stacked up on top of each other, and when you've got them leveled up, it becomes super effective. All right, I feel like I talked a lot about UFP side there. We're going to talk about Void Corp side here, and I'm gonna bash them even harder than I bashed UFP. I'm gonna try to, at least. So we had a plan of attack here, and the plan of attack is always is to fan off, get your defensive positions in place. And one thing that we've been sort of discussing internally, and I've been fighting against, I wouldn't say I'm fighting against, I'm having a bit of a disagreement at this point, is that we leave a battleship at the gate, and that is for protection against assassins and runaway rockets, etc, etc. So anyways, we're going to talk about the fan out because I didn't do that properly with UFP. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 9 ships coming in out of off the start. We've got an assassin showing up late for work. And we were short a guy. So what we didn't know when we started the match is that one of the gentlemen that we opted in, I don't know why we opted in, has some personal stuff to deal with, and he couldn't really play. He couldn't play. So we didn't know this. So we were already down 9 versus 10 on this one. And being that we set somebody at the gate, we were technically down 10 v8. But anyway, I think we handled it pretty well. you're going to see here, effectively, we fan out to our positions. We got the assassins coming down south because we don't plan on going for the 10 south because it's too far away. This 10 is a lot closer to us, so assassins head south. We head up this way, get our defensive positions ready. We got one guy taking care of the Guardian, and we did clump up here because we were sort of escorting our way over to our level 10 with our squishies. So we've got lots of hydro just like that. Hydro's crunched, we're moving it in, we're ready to go. Our mining game is becoming a lot better to start. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. Yana fell asleep. Yana, come on. And then, that's okay. Everyone's allowed to sleep once in a while when it comes to white stars. But then you're going to see us still coming along here. Now, that was a little dangerous with this transport here, but it worked out, so we got real lucky on that one, I think. So miners coming in with the hydro. We've already got hydro heading towards the planet at this point, and as I was talking, these guys were late to the party. They're not even, look how far ahead we are than them. We've got hydro on the miners already moving into our level 10, and our transport's coming in as well. So at this point, we're getting ready to take up defensive positions. We've got a guy blocking here from rockets. We've got assassins down here, which technically we don't use to block rockets, but again, we are sort of in a fan motion here, blocking everything that's along the back line, trying to fill those gaps. So Carl's coming up the rear here, keeping an eye on the back miners and anything that may slip through, but late to the party, didn't have to worry about that too much. And we've got two pretty strong battleships on the forefront. Myself and Mass Nova with his massive battery is what I should say, level 9 battery. And then we've got a battleship sitting on the planet protecting against rockets. So at this point, we're getting ready for the imminent attack from the assassins. While our assassins move down, we'll focus on the assassins first because that's what I did last time. And we've got two assassins running amok because the third couldn't make it to the game this time around. And if you ever notice someone with a teleport doing a straight shot like that for a 7-hour mark, it's likely they're going to teleport. So they might have saw this. But anyways, because Chaos set that point and they sent two battleships to intercept him, N64 took that opportunity to go north and loop back around because there was nothing south, as I mentioned in the review of UFP. Now, technically, I guess they could have split up and had, you know, one guy down here, one guy up here, but you've got some pretty level 4 battleships down here, so they don't want to take those guys head on. So anyway, the assassin itself, we've already pretty much analyzed this, I guess. I probably shouldn't waste too much time on this. The assassin tries to head south. They get him before he's got dual laser, so unfortunately it doesn't do anything because they had two battleships to sort of stack on him. Maybe they saw that coming and I missed that in my review. But anyway, we've got our mass battery up north. But instead of heading towards the gate, because you never step inside the gate sector, he moved backwards, used, I think that was impulse, to sort of deke him out. So at this point, I had mentioned that it might have been more effective to set that waypoint to go directly south, because they've got this guy committed for a 6-hour move. By the time we get here, they're trying to intercept south. So I think he could have technically still beat them if he came this way. But anyways, it ends up working out for him, so the battle starts to commence. They're trying to move in on him, but he's going to slip out of the way here. Again, lots of rockets coming his way. He's not overly worried about it because we got Delta Shield on the go here. And he's going to slip down here and try and cause some havoc. So their defensive line on that part, I guess, was okay. But because of the stealth, we were able to get one of the miners, or two of the miners. One of the miners, it seems. Squishy kill, confirmed. And we're going to move back up north. I kind of really analyzed this with the UFP side, but let's talk about it again. So we always have a battleship escorting whatever's in front, and you always want to make sure that you have barrier. So we carry a lot of barrier on our squishies, and we have barrier on some of our battleships. And so because we saw the assassins coming in, why wouldn't we barrier? So we barriered up. They couldn't teleport in. They couldn't really move in. And because one guy ran into us, that was no contest for me. So if they would have teamed up against me, that might have been more effective. But again, they would have been stuck running into the middle of this barrier unless they decided to come this way, which I could have EMP'd. We could have shifted down. But anyway, again, they're going to teleport. I'm going to move in. I'm going to EMP. I've already analyzed this. They're going to EMP. And we effectively have enough battleships on the defensive game that this becomes kind of irrelevant to us. So we're just going to skip ahead because we've already really analyzed this. So this guy fell asleep here. And he's going to get toasted. That's done and over with. Our miners have headed back out to try and get more hydro. But at this point, we couldn't refresh our modules because it was so far away, I think is what it ended up being. And a second run was sort of out of our way here. And a second run wasn't really in the cards, I guess. So we've got 2 relics headed to the gate with 2 days and 11 hours to begin. Till finish. And they don't even have a single relic loaded. So anyways, 2 relics heading towards the gate. 2 more relics being escorted. He wasn't escorted because there was no imminent threat. There was no reason to escort him back to the gate. Him. Yes, him. Yana sits and watches Relic Boner load up on 4 relics, while my ship sits and waits for something else to come and contest. We really talked about this already. Again, the biggest fight of the match. What was ineffectively done here with the no barrier, not setting up that barrier quick enough. I guess predicting what somebody's going to do, you really got to look at their ship and what they're carrying. And one of the things that I like to do is when somebody's got barrier or someone's got teleport or somebody's got EMP is pretty straightforward, but if you click on a ship and analyze it, you can actually click on any of their modules and hold on to it, and it will show you the radius. And so what I do is I do that with teleport, and I run through Time Machine, and I can see when that teleport just gets into range. So if I've got a barrier that's effectively going to stop that teleport, I'm going to make sure I set that barrier just before that teleport gets to whatever's in the immediate range as a threat, because that's the whole purpose of Time Machine is to do that. But I don't know if everyone knows that, so I think it's important for you guys to understand that. So anyways, this big battle goes down. Our assassin finally showed up. Our late assassin with Ganon the Cannon, rather, showed up. So anyway, he didn't get any squishy kills this time around. And this is actually where the Corporate Destiny landed, which is right next to the gate. You really couldn't ask for a better place to land when you use Destiny, is right next to your gate. So Mass was smart enough to notice that the big battle was happening and that we were likely going to win, so he sent a transport down to load up on this single artifact sitting on the planet for the level 5, and it worked out really well. We ended up getting another relic. This guy only had battery, I'm pretty sure, and he must have just just threw the phone because he didn't try to do anything else beyond this point. I mean, I think that's Mass sitting there, right? Mass Nova, he had battery 9, so if this guy's got a low level battery, there's no point in him trying to take on that level 9 battery. We had reinforcements coming down, etc. I didn't really want to end this by not critiquing anything critical on what we did, because we never run a perfect game by any means. But I honestly can't think of things that really frustrated me about this match. Everyone, well, other than before I knew what was happening with Ganon, I was kind of frustrated that he didn't show up for the match. But that got sorted out midway game. But I can't think of anything that we did incorrectly or ineffectively. We had a good defensive game. Our offensive was enough. And it was enough for the coordination that the other team had. So I got nothing bad to say. The guys handled themselves well. The assassins were doing their own thing, and they were doing their own right thing. And defensively, we had the game down path. Our mining was on point. We had so much hydro out of the gate, but it obviously helps a lot that there's a ton of hydro in front of the gate. Our transports did well. Wow, I feel like a real dick now because I was so critical of UFP. Yes, I found something. So what we could have done better is our rockets. We had a gentleman sitting at the gate that could have effectively shot more rockets, but I think I would be a hypocrite to say that he didn't do his job properly, because I talk about when UFP was launching rockets, they were launching them too far from the gate, and we really didn't have any battles that were within 3 sectors of our gate. So with that having been said, I'm not going to say we did a poor game on that. Maybe instead of sitting at the gate doing nothing, you know, shift that battleship up more or shoot more rockets just as a visual deterrent for some reason. I don't know. Every time I see a new White Star scan, I just instantly get tired because I'm the type of player that when I set my moves or I know something's going to happen, I'm setting my alarm to wake myself up in the middle of the night. That sounds super pathetic saying out loud. I hope I'm not the only person that does that because I would feel oh so alone. But anyways, that's going to do it for me. I do appreciate you guys checking out these recaps. I hope they're a little bit helpful. I try not to talk too fast. I try not to ramble on, but honestly, it's like you have to. There's so much to cover. But anyways, if there's something I can do better, let me know. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. With a few things in terms of tracking, but it can be slow paced. I'm not going to say that it's not slow paced. This thing, I mean, this makes it sound like this person really wants to spend real money to get to the top. And I've got to give props to the devs on this one for not promoting